The Asket contact reports explanation from Plejadish Plejaranisha Kontaktberichte, Gesprache, Block 1, PG 303. Askets' contact with me and making her personal acquaintance came after Svath's departure in 1953, in the early morning on the 3rd of February. The reason this day is selected in so many instances is probably because it's my birthday, and because of that, it's always been the time something new has been brought to me. In this case, its significance meant it had to be related to my birthday itself, as well as with the birth time. Svath once told me something about this, that my particular birthday has very few births anywhere in the entirety of the earthly humanity, and that my exact time of birth occurs exclusively for me. So it was in the early morning hours of the 3rd of February, 1953, probably around 2 o'clock, while I was in my homeland Switzerland, near Gutenswil ZH. Asket's voice appeared inside of me, and she asked me to take myself off to a very specific place where I would then be picked up. There could have been more to it, but I couldn't hear quite what was said. I was thinking it over for hours, about how I should maybe finally meet Asket, about who Asket was, and about how she might look, etc. So many questions suddenly bothered me, playing on my mind, that I'd already arrived and reached the time of meeting before I even realized it. Here everything went very fast, because on target a bright light it shot down silently from the sky and sat itself down near me. Following which, upon a quiet compulsion, I went to it and was suddenly carried into an opening, which was the same type of thing as was the case with the pear-shaped craft of Svath. Then the opening closed, and very strange things happened to me in the ship in the process. Asket's Explanations. Part 1. Translation. Asket's Explanations. Written down on the 1st of September 1964 in Marauli, India. Verbatim renditions by Asket with the help of her apparatuses which enable these verbatim renditions from her subconscious. The following statement was made by Asket on the 3rd of February 1953, while we were in her ship in the Jordanian desert mountains.
Creation is the foundation of life and of being. We fulfill our mission in the strength of creation, which has not only cosmic but universal significance, because creation is life and creation is being. And to fulfill our mission, we have to neutralize the space-time connection barrier between our and your universes, so that we can achieve a harmonious passage through without damage to ships and universes. Because our homeworld lies in the Dal universe, in the Akon system, in a system foreign to you Earth humans, of a universe just as foreign to you, of which several surround the universe known to you, on the 7th outer belt. Many of these universes lie in other time planes and in, for you, expanses of utter foreignness. Our universe is a parallel sister universe to yours, respectively a twin universe, and, calculated according to your concepts, it lies in a similar plane. The difference between your time and ours is only very slight. The reason for our coming into this, your Dern universe, lies in earlier times, that are calculated in several centuries, and indeed, in the urge to explore, and in a fulfillment of an obligation of our race, who, from the earliest times, came from your Dern universe. Made possible through technical developments, an ancient universe barrier was opened again between our universe and your universe, that guaranteed us the entrance into your time, after which the knowledge about it, lost many thousands of years ago, was worked out again. Since then we again explored the expanses of your universe and, several centuries ago, discovered this solar system and, therewith, this world, whose inhabitants show a very old connection with the Pleiadians, as you name them for certain reasons, and in which we also are involved, also in the form of that which pertains to a mission. To be precise, the centuries, by your time reckoning, line up together to 33, during which we were again able to travel and explore your universe. Through our incessant explorations we again found this world, as well as also our original homeland, and the very distant descendants of those who, from the earliest time, were the responsible ones who were relevant to the human life of this world, because a portion of the humans of the earth were not born here. Many are descendants of those who came out of the expanse of outer space, and indeed from that space that you name Lyra and Vega with the eye of God, the Ring Nebula. In those territories lie, namely, the real and ultimate original homeland of the later terrestrial human races. Certainly, today, the actual direct descendants of the terrestrial forefathers no longer populate the territory and spaces and systems around the Ring Nebula and the Vega and Lyra heavenly bodies in a space-time shifted configuration. Rather, they live today on space and time shifted world bodies far on the other side of the system that you name the 7 heavenly bodies. 7 sisters, respectively, the Pleiades, approximately 400 light-years distant. They are the distant descendants of your Earth humans, and our actual original forefathers. Yet, in something less than 20 Earth years, calculated from today, you should be given clarification about all these things from the direct descendants of your forefathers themselves, when you are sufficiently matured to cope with the new explanations and knowledge. But until then, you are enjoined to still learn much, and to guide your knowledge and your wisdom into very high levels, so that thereby you are able to fulfill your difficult mission. Through your own determination you are destined as a bringer of truth, as already innumerable others were in very early times before you. But, to be able to do your mission as such, correctly, you must become very much greater in spiritual knowledge than every other Earth human of your time. Therefore, before your birth, you were already placed under the controlled supervision of a certain life form who had to protect, guide, lead, and instruct you. This happened in the same way as with all earlier truth-bringers, some who were reincarnations of your spirit form. However, were always other personalities who were already selected before their birth, and, after incarnating again, were prepared for their mission. This describes a law of creation, which also cannot be defied. It is erroneous to believe that truth-bringers and truth-announcers would only be called to their mission at a certain age in years, because their path is already determined before their begetting, by they themselves, in earlier lives. If a truth-bringer and a truth-announcer is born, then he is already determined for his mission from his own will, and so, already from his birth onward, his life also develops accordingly. In each case, such a life would be extraordinarily difficult and hard, because the life form concerned has an extraordinary amount to learn. A prophet is never able to lead an easy, unburdened, and soft life. If, therefore, life forms emerge as alleged truth-bringers, respectively as prophets, and their lives do not run in the hardest courses, then they can never be truth-bringers and prophets. These are then also only able to announce illogical and wrong truths through which the life forms fall into all kinds of enslavement and become dependent on unreal things. However, true truth-bringers and prophets bring words and truths of freedom and of knowledge, love and wisdom in absolute logic. False truth-bringers and false prophets, and so forth, bring only false teachings in illogic, which must continually be newly formed and revised in accordance with the progressing time and development, while true truth-bringers and prophets bring only the teaching of the truth, which is eternally constant and can never be amended. The eternal truth always remains the eternal truth, even if, as stipulated by language development, it must be brought again and again with new words and terms. In less than 20 Earth years, the time will come for you when you will write a great work of the truth that will be transmitted to you from a very, very high spirit form. It will reach to you from the same level from which Emmanuel, the carpenter's son, who you wrongly named Jesus Christ, also received his knowledge. It will be an important work of the new time, a work of truth, of knowledge, of clarification, of wisdom and love, a work of the Aquarian age. It will be, next to many other works from you, a work of the absolute truth, in connection with very many other things. It will be a work of absolute truth and be written for all coming times. All your writings and works could never be replaced by further innovations, because they will contain the final truth. And this eternal truth is never subject to alterations. If then, however, life forms appear and want to bring changes and alterations into and beyond these works, then they are only of a fraudulent form and are malicious lies. The truth is never subject to changes and innovations, because it is constantly in the absolute of all times and all spaces. It is the task of each more highly developed life form to stand alongside less developed forms with help in responsible measure, to influence the evolution in the appropriate strength. This obligation is incumbent on all life forms of all universes, because it is based within a creational law. And when we are here now from what to you is a foreign universe, this obligation is also incumbent upon us equally with the earth human. So for that reason, at a given time, we will enter into official contact with more of this universe's own non-terrestrial and highly developed life forms. But this will first be that far along in some years to come, when I return to my universe, after which then another contact will be taken up with you. As already highly developed life forms, we have recognized very many things in this your own universe which require an alteration. In particular, on this world, things are done which are on a very dangerous course. Earth humanity is entering into the age of technical knowledge and technical development, as well as the time of coming computer and gene technology, but through many kinds of factors, knowledge and development will be unconsciously or consciously maliciously disturbed, especially through wrong ideologies, whose multiple misleading, enslaving, humiliating, or exploitative consequences affect the people. A boundless lust for power is characteristic of all terrestrial ideologies, and the actual goal embodiment of everything exists in the acquisition of control. Ideology means the greatest and most dangerous power for the acquisition of control, which, as a rule, almost without exception, is striven for by all directions of faith, insofar as they are aligned religiously or as a secret society, scientifically, pseudo-scientifically, politically, militarily, or fanatically, and so forth. It is unquestionable that many terrestrial governments become religiously steered and led, or at least subject to a certain religious influence. And likewise, through these governments, on the other hand, independently constant efforts, on a political basis, will be undertaken so that their side can seize control over the people. These reciprocal malicious efforts have always led again and again to acts of war and other deadly excesses, whereby, over all times, innumerable human lives were destroyed. The knowledge of the new time was developed only for the purpose of the acquisition of a certain control, whereby the well-being of the earth human was often only incidental. As a rule, the human adapted all his developments and inventions into deadly weapons. He forced the foundation stones of life into dangerous explosives in order to convert these foundation stones of life into a deadly weapon. And already, in the shortest time, the earth human will hurry out of his atmosphere with manned rocket projectiles. Soon already, the time will also be here in which he enters Earth satellites and speaks great deceitful words of peace and love. However, they will be only words of deception, because the sense of those Earth humans, who carry these words into outer space, thirsts only in invincible greed for power and rule of outer space. Their words will only be wicked lies and intrigues, feigning peace, in order to deceive genuinely peaceful life forms and bring them into servitude. Religions and politics of the earth work together in these things, and shrink from no intrigue-filled means at all in order to achieve their power-hungry goals. Earth humanity has achieved a high standing of technical evolution, however, really only in regard to the technical and that which pertains to a purely material understanding. The evolution in terms of the spiritual and of the consciousness was, however, until now, maliciously disadvantaged and neglected and displaced by the worldly and material. The result was that many kinds of evil things could grow and degenerated into fanaticism. Thereby, false terrestrial religions are to name as the worst factors by which all reality and truth is denied and condemned. In this respect, the earth must be described as a unique in all areas of the universe known to us, and on all worlds known to us, as a carrier of such degenerated, unreal ideologies. Such insane ideologies and religions do not exist anywhere else as they rage here on this earth. The terrestrial ideologies and actual sects and religions in particular, as well as the terrestrial power political machinations, have become a danger which spreads out slowly and fatally. Were it not enough that spacefaring races, through the terrestrial ideological and religious insanity, already shifted 3 of their homeland planets into uproar, which then had to be brought back under control by outside powers, the Earth human also drives his world and the entire solar system dangerously close to destruction. Less than 1,130 Earth years ago, 3 races capable of space travel from far galaxies of this universe dispatched their expedition ships and advanced to the Earth. They explored this world with small scout craft and also made contact with priestly Earth humans, secretly and unrecognized, in order not to spread terror and angst. They heard and learned from the Earth humans the insanity of their ideologies and religions, and suddenly they believed themselves to be disadvantaged and falsely led in their own philosophy of creation and in their own evolution of consciousness and spirit. As a life form still very spiritually underdeveloped and underdeveloped in consciousness, the Earth humans were able to throw these foreign life forms into doubt and to sow discord among them. Yet, was that any wonder then? If it is considered that very highly developed life forms from foreign galaxies visit the Earth, and here suddenly are instructed that they, as a race which has developed very far, are to have been disadvantaged by creation, because, allegedly, creation personally made itself known to a still very underdeveloped race, and they themselves, as a much higher life form, were passed over. Where was the blame to be found here, that creation created its only begotten Son, and transferred him to earth to a poor, underdeveloped people, and did not create this only begotten Son for the much higher developed life forms? Thus, this insane information was spread on 3 distant worlds, and announced to the races which had for thousands of years lived in peace, love, and in complete harmony among themselves, and with all forms of life. The insanity of the terrestrial religions was taken up by scientists, and further expeditions were sent to Earth in order to work for years to investigate all required religious facts. After the return of these expeditions, it was concluded, after exact clarifications, that all peoples would be instructed according to the terrestrial Christian religion, and indeed, in all matters. This was a fatal error, because, within only 11 years, this peaceful humankind from a distant planet, having previously lived only by the creational laws, changed itself into the faith-based Christian image of the Earth human. At first, fights and discord originated only in the narrowest circles. Then, however, everything expanded very quickly, and it came to public unrest. Already the life forms soon murdered each other, until everything degenerated into a malicious worldwide war. Finally, encroachments into the 2 other worlds resulted, one of which was then destroyed. Different spacefaring races became attentive to that, and finally intervened, and forcefully terminated the deadly discord, which had already slowly carried itself into the entire solar system. The terrestrial religions, brought there through the expeditions, and the destruction-releasing Christianity, were strictly forbidden to any life forms. All existing religious material was destroyed, and the old way of life again became the highest law. Any advance and any further visit to the Earth was forbidden, and a decree was even issued that, if, unexpectedly, a ship should stray onto Earth, and no further possibilities of progress could be found, the entire crew, together with their ship, must totally eliminate itself. This actually also then soon happened according to the decree of this regulation, when a huge spaceship, still in the terrestrial area, was not able to free itself anymore from Earth, where it had lain hidden for several months with severe technical damage, in the country which you call Russia. The ship was able to lift itself up only a few hundred meters and then sank down again. In accordance with the regulation that no spaceships and so forth were allowed to approach the Earth anymore, all outside assistance was also impossible. Other races from outer space, stationed on the Earth, were, on the other hand, forbidden to bring the damaged ship assistance, because, among the crew, a terrestrial epidemic had broken out, which was very dangerous for this life form. In the knowledge that they could anticipate no more help at all, they designed an enormous bomb from the foundation stones of life, that you call atoms, forced the ship as far as possible up into the sky, and then let it simply fall. Like an enormous comet, it fell towards the Earth, and before it could strike the Earth, at a few hundred meters height, the atomic bomb was ignited. An enormous explosion tore up the ship and the crew, turned everything to dust and destroyed the landscape. From everything only a giant crater remained, which is erroneously called a meteor crater by your scientists. More than 4,300 life forms of extraterrestrial origin were destroyed during this gigantic destruction, which only leads back to the terrestrial Christian cult, because the actual reason for this destruction was the insanity of this terrestrial religion. Through this and other Earth insanity, still many other dangerous events have come into appearance, whose effects must be contained in the coming time. The Earth human has become capable of destroying his world in an atomic explosion, which would bring very dangerous consequences for the entire system. Already once, millennia ago, a similar catastrophe was released in this solar system, namely, as the planet, which was the second human-inhabited one of this system, was destroyed. Through the irrationality of the humanity who lived there at that time, the planet was blown up into thousands of smaller and larger pieces, and thereby a flourishing world was destroyed. As the Earth's sister planet, it orbited the Sun in the position where now the planet Mars goes its way. But through the mighty first explosion, a gigantic repulsion effect was produced, and the planet was catapulted away to finally explode in the orbit where it now circles as the asteroid belt. The name of the planet was Malin, which then later, because of its destruction, was changed and underwent a slight alteration. At that time, Mars circled in the present day's asteroid course, and was driven into a closer solar orbit through the violent destruction explosion of the planet Malin. Malin's solar orbit was, therefore, at that time there, where Mars now circles, whereas this situation was, however, altered through the destruction. The planet of that time is today named Malona or Phaeton, etc. A further such event must be prevented, and exactly that is the duty of the superior races and Earth-human forms of life. The entire inner solar system could be destroyed through an atomic destruction of this Earth, and fragments of it or the planets could be driven out into space as very dangerous projectiles. Thereby, again, entire further planetary systems could be destroyed and disrupted, which could lead to an unprecedented catastrophe in the Sol system. Adjoining planetary systems themselves could thereby be affected. The basis for this possibility is that this solar system orders various planetary giants which enact an extraordinarily large power of attraction. Furthermore, this system is exposed in space in such a way that such a catastrophe, as has just been explained, could spread out, uninhibited, through the solar system for many astronomical units. A similar event was already released in very distant space in a galaxy completely foreign to Earth, as the planet which was destroyed by religious insanity engendered this dangerous reaction. It was that world which I have described, and that was destroyed through that form of human who adopted the Christian religion from the earth. Through those kinds of occurrences, not only would the terrestrial planetary system be in great danger, but also others of the Sol system. Through a destruction of the earth and so forth, the structure of space-time could not be torn, but the entire solar system could fall into a deadly ruin. In and of itself, this danger is really not small, because, as the earth finds itself in a very exposed spot, this gruesome event could actually become reality if the destructive power is great enough and is of atomic origin. Therefore, it is our main task to prevent this possible event through clarifying impulses, and also to supervise, together with other forms of life from other worlds in this Earth's universe, so that the already evoked mischief of the Earth scientists is contained and averted through unnoticeable influencing impulses. That is a part of our mission, the most difficult that was ever to be recorded in the history of this solar system. We are caused to intervene, using logically enforced nonviolence, in the machinations of politics and religions, and to teach and positively influence leading personalities without them being conscious of it, and to flatten, in a positive manner, their intrigues and politics and so forth. Yet also, thereby it would be unfortunately unavoidable that various leading powers of various countries of the earth would be annihilated, deposed, or even murdered by their subordinate organizations or adversaries. The list of the politically leading men who would be killed through the hand of murder would be very long in the coming time, yet we may not change that. It is not our fault that all that would come out that way, because the earth human alone bears that guilt. We want no death and no murder. We want peace in this and all other universes. Unfortunately, this requires that we must influence leading powers of the earth to peace, using impulses, whereby, however, they would create deadly enemies, whereby, unfortunately, many good humans will die, which we really cannot, however, prevent. Unfortunately, we only have time until autumn of the year 1974 to prevent the destruction of the earth. Subsequently, our time is very tightly measured. Were our mission to fail, then this system-wide catastrophe will probably occur. But we have very good outlooks for the success of our mission, which is why we have prepared you for our target day since your birth. If we have fulfilled our mission to prevent the gruesome catastrophe, then your mission comes about shortly after that, in the year 1975, about which you will be yet further prepared until then. You should then emerge as truth-bringer and truth-announcer, respectively as prophet, and bring the earth humanity the knowledge about the true truth of the eternal absolutum. It will be your mission to clarify the actual truth of the creational spiritual matters for earth humanity, in order to bring them the path of peace, love, true knowledge, and of wisdom in truth. But the time will pass very quickly for you because, at that point in time in which you will emerge, further dangerous things, which spring from the power-greedy forces, will already take their course. At that time, and also even later, it will be America, Russia and China, that very strongly push for enslaving world domination. So it will not be at a later point in time the Jewish Zionists, as many people presume, who sharpen their blood sword through mass murdering acts of violence and with the help of the Christian religion, to subjugate the earth, rather smaller powers and various malignant sects, whereby one such really malignant one leads back to a certain Ron Hubbard. In this regard, they are already preparing the first decisive strikes in order to expand their power and to create dangerous country-controlling positions. The earth human should protect himself from providing any help to such power-greedy sects and rulers, because they cause the smallest help to become a deadly weapon against the helper, in order therewith to come closer, step by step, to the fulfillment of their addiction to world domination. Sectarianism is just as much aligned only with greed for money and power as certain holders of power are aligned with enslaving world domination. Sectarianism likewise serves, for its believers and followers, only as a means to an end, as is peculiar to every actual religion, every ideology, as well as every secret society which demands world domination, and every political ruler. Yet the time is not yet ripe enough to allow all these things to be known through you, therefore you are enjoined to silence until the time that I grant you permission to speak. The course of evolution has its track to take, and it may not be impeded in this track by a premature voicing of these facts of the future. Even if we do not like it, we cannot thus alter some future events and therefore incorrectly influence or disturb the course of history. Very great and world-revolutionizing events will emerge which are required to avert a global or solar system-wide catastrophe. Statesmen must be appointed who prepare certain things towards the prevention of the threatening catastrophe. But as is usual with the Earth humans, many will inwardly and outwardly succumb to their greed for power, even if they will maybe not openly and understandably demonstrate it externally for their followers. As usual, they will have enemies and will be, in some cases, gotten rid of by them, who, not knowing that they thereby, and due to their own power greed and unreasonableness, will help to hinder the catastrophe. Thus their death-bringing intrigues and desires for power will be ultimately transformed toward good purposes. The list of these events will be very long, so I can only name some data for you which will be very important in the world events of the Earth, even if, from the outside, they appear to be of only minor significance. Indeed, once again I must explain to you in this regard that you must keep absolutely silent about this up to the point in time when I will permit you to speak about it, which, at any rate, will first be 1975. Subsequently, you must therefore still keep silent for a long time. The occurrences of the future must play out sequentially, and they are not be permitted to be impaired by some sort of wrong actions and things. The events of the future have to occur according to the determinations, as only in this way can a catastrophe be prevented. But be conscious that when I give you permission to speak, much later, after all the important events, your life will then be in danger through murderous attacks because you reveal very secret things. Those initiated in these intrigues will then endeavor to rob you of your life and kill you because you reveal their secrets. Therefore beware and at all times practice the greatest caution when the time for that comes. The most important events of the future, which I will now tell you, you should likewise write down later with my memory assistance. You should then secure the writings and keep them locked up to the extent that they are not accessible to anyone, except you, until the given point in time. With the events of the future being made known prematurely, the already prepared catastrophe would become unavoidable, and thereby the entire system of planets would certainly be destroyed. For these reasons, I will also first assist you to write down all my explanations in later years, namely then when the greatest danger has already been averted in regard to this. But even after that you still must keep everything most securely locked up, until I can give you permission to speak. Under all circumstances, obey my orders and never try to circumvent this order in any manner. So now, heed my words precisely and note the specific important dates so you can follow the coming events according to my statements and thereby gain verification about the truth of my prophecies. This is of significant importance for you. The ineluctable events of the future will be played out with such absolute exactness, as did also the events of the past, to which I want to explain to you that the events of the future will already begin in a short time, and indeed with the murder by poison of Joseph Stalin on the 5th of March 1953 in Russia, and indeed on the order of inter-party elements. The reason for the murder by poison will be Stalin's only little-known Zionist-friendly stance, which will now, during the following decades, be turned to worldwide Zionist animosity, also through neo-Nazi elements. For these reasons, Nikita Sergeyevich Khrushchev, the next grandee of Russia to follow, will be forcefully removed in the year 1964 in order to set the last framework for the in no way justified Zionist animosity. At the time of Khrushchev, a new president will be nominated in America by the name of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, however, to be murdered in the year 1963, according to secret orders of different groups, and with the American Security Service, the CIA, having warning information. The day of his death will be on the 22nd of November 1963 in Dallas, Texas. A second political murder will follow this first one only barely 5 years later, because by the same ordering parties, a new candidate for the presidency will likewise be killed. His death will take place on the 6th of June 1968 in Los Angeles, and his name will be Robert Kennedy, a brother of the president, who will be murdered in the year 1963. The Holy Office in Rome, too, will be affected by the worldwide religious and political intrigues. Just as with Stalin, the same very rapidly volatilizing from the body poison will be used to murder Pope John XXIII in the year 1963, who will hold his office for only a very short number of years. But also his successor, Pope Paul VI, will be eliminated in the same manner, through machinations of the cardinals, in collaboration with extremists hostile towards Zionists and Jews, who have already forged their murderous intrigues at the present time and are already putting the things to come on track. Greece also has already been selected for a murder of a head of state, because the future reveals that King Paul I will die the same death by poison on March 6, 1964, like all those already named. His successor will be called Constantinos, Constantine, who, however, already 3 years later, will be ousted for all times by a revolutionary military regime, as a result of his childish inability as head of state and his exploitation of the people. Also, Egypt will not be spared, because in the middle of the 70s, a dictatorial statesman named Gamal Abdel Nasser will be robbed of his life through poison, just like his friend, the Emir of Kuwait, the year before, who will die the death by poison during the year of 1965, through the hand of his own relatives. In the year 1975, also the King of Saudi Arabia, King Faisal, will be shot to death through the hand of his own relatives. These are the most important dates of the coming events of the next decades. Guard them very carefully and do not speak about these until I give permission. You will recognize from my predictions that very different powers play into one another, and that the coming events are not only of political, but also of religio-political nature. Consider with these things, that we have not come to interfere in the religious and political matters of earth, or to lead the earth humans in these things. These things oblige you and your followers in later times, that you then have to spread the truth, in order to teach the earth humans the eternal truth. We have also not come in order to establish contact with earth humanity, and to greatly help them in their evolution. We are only here in order to fulfill our mission and the prevention of the catastrophe, and to prepare you for your difficult assignment as prophet. For further things, like help with evolution and so forth, other forms of life from your own universe are responsible, who will initially call themselves Pleiadians. Already for millennia, they supervise the earth and keep those spacefaring races in check who wish evil for you earth humans, and want to gain control over earth humanity with the employment of religion and all the related deceptions, hallucinations, and trickery with which they buoy up the earth humans with false promises. In the Pyramid of Giza, I well noticed your thoughts, and searched closer and thereby established that, to a certain degree, you are still doubtful in regard to the wrongness and false teachings of religions. You thought that Svath told you an untruth, and that Emmanuel, alias Jesus Christ, could indeed be the Son of God, because the utensils brought you into confusion. But Svath spoke the truth, because even as with all other religions, the Christian religion is also only an evil and wrong enslaving, poor piece of work of earth humans, who, in their establishment of religions, found the wealth promised to them, and power over fellow men, and found that they would be addressed by a degenerated group of extraterrestrial intelligences if they would spread the erroneous religious teaching. I hereby speak of the extraterrestrial race, which here, since ancient times, wants to attain supremacy over the earth humanity, and, accordingly, to always again unfold the glow and flame of the various religions, and always new sects, because only through that may they obtain their goal. For thousands of years they deceived the earth human with religious miracles and visions of every kind in order to maintain and to yet further increase the religious delusion. Out of these grounds they have also created a mighty station under the Pyramid of Giza in order to guide from there the religious delusional events of the earth. Self-evidently, they had to bring their great spaceship into security, so they constructed the underground hangar where their ship has already been stored for thousands of years. They direct and lead everything from under there that serves the purposes of religion and serves the religious and sectarian enslavement of the earth human. And in order to top it all off, they made the utensils some decades ago which you have seen there. They are as false and inane as the attitude of this spacefaring group itself, because the true utensils of Emmanuel and also the cross are already long rotted away and decayed to dust. The imitation of the utensils succeeds as deceptively genuine, and this falsification would not be recognized even by an expert of your science with all the devices and apparatus available to him, because, in those kinds of things, this evil-minded group work with the most extreme precision and greatest ability. The life forms seen by you are the guards of the secret station, and they kill every life form which is ever lost in there. Their technical possibilities for the positioning of distorting radiations are, at any rate, very small. Subsequently, we can go in there, unconcerned, in invisible form. The meaning of the falsified Christ utensils lies in the intention that an earth human, in a very short time, will be influenced in a hallucinatory way by these malicious life forms, to such a degree that all that was seen by you can be transmitted to him as an entire experience. This earth human already stands under the influence of these malicious beings. Often he is transferred into a trance state by them, and then the images are transmitted to him. He thereby perceives and feels everything exactly as if he hears, sees, feels, and experiences it in reality, although he only lies and sleeps somewhere, and everything is impressed into him as a dream. In the state of being awake, he will be just as much tricked as his friends and acquaintances by images of spaceships which indeed can be projected so true to reality that anyone can catch them on film. These appearances are, however, without exception, only nebulous and holographic pictures which are not able to exhibit actual contours. The entire meaning lies therefore only in a malicious deception with the purposes that the concerned earth human, who will be called Reinhold Schmidt, talks about himself, and spreads the images and experiences and so forth, implanted in him by means of holographs and dream state hallucinations, in order to maintain the religion of Christianity. Thereby, such an earth human will become an unconscious deceiver of himself and of all those who believe his explanations. Indeed, he does not know that he has never been in this pyramid with the spaceship and the counterfeit utensils, or that it has all only been implanted in him as reality, through trickery, and that he has never flown in a spaceship any more than has another earth human. George Adamski, who presently deceitfully makes an effort in America to work himself up from hot dog vendor to being famous worldwide as the father of ufology, as the investigations into our spaceships will already soon be officially called. Certainly, with him, the difference is that he carries out various deceitful manipulations quite consciously, as, for example, through the production of fake photos from spaceship models, and through the manipulation of humans with his extraordinarily high power of suggestion, through which he, like the malicious beings in the Pyramid of Giza, tricks humans with unreal and non-existent things. The list will be very long of those Earth humans who, already in the shortest period of time, will appear publicly to fraudulently and maliciously bring their fellow humans under their power by saying that they are in contact with beings of extraterrestrial origin. There will be many among them who will do this as a result of delusion or for religious and profit-driven reasons, while others will be partially steered by the malevolent life forms in the pyramid. In order to make these fraudulent assertions appear more believable, they will even go so far as letting it be spread that the extraterrestrial intelligences are very interested in the terrestrial Christian religion, and, in this regard, will very gladly be taught by the Earth human. The first weighty steps in this direction have already been undertaken in order to spread this new false teaching, and thereby to make the evil soil of religion, which is increasingly retreating into the background, more fertile again. Everything is intended to appear as if the extraterrestrial life forms, up to now, in a religious regard, have been misguided and are ignorant, and that now they will find the great salvation on the earth and will carry it out into space. It will be asserted that these extraterrestrial life forms will even be grateful to the Earth humans for this, because only through them will they recognize the Son of God, Jesus Christ, as Redeemer and Lord of the universe and so forth, and to that end, towards the end of the millennium, even the Pope will extend the hand, at least in the form of the alleged universal validity of Christianity. This will already be so within a very short period of time, because the plans for these evil machinations are already being evaluated and converted into reality. However, the Earth human should protect himself from these machinations, because they only serve the purposes of enslavement by those who maintain their station in Giza. If the Earth human continues to work according to their wishes and demands, then they will, in the not-too-distant future, as in earlier times, appear officially in order to again bring Earth humanity under their rule through murder, tribunals, and barbarism. That will then be so if the Earth human continues to allow himself to be led astray by their religions, and brings himself so far that the evil life forms can again appear as angels and gods, as they have done in earlier times. But if they do not succeed in that, then in spite of that, further danger from them exists, because they are so malicious that, if need be, they will also try to reach their goal by barbaric violence and a great worldwide war. 2/3 of terrestrial humanity would thereby be annihilated and die a horrible death. Therefore, Earth humanity should prepare itself in order to prevent these still avertible events, because the possibility to do so still exists. But, if the Earth human continues to live attached to religions, then he thereby only serves the wishes and desires for power of those who have worked for a long time towards the conquest of Earth and thereby for world control. The Earth human must pay very precise attention to these things, because otherwise a worldwide war of annihilation threatens him, which, as the Third World War, could bring the final defeat and enslavement over the Earth, directed and steered by the malicious extraterrestrial life forms under the Pyramid of Giza. All these things and facts are, at this time, however, not yet ripe to be spoken about, because first, the great danger of the threatening catastrophe must be banished. And only when this evil is removed will the time of clarification come. The last sign of the banishment of the threatening catastrophe will be the murder of the King of Saudi Arabia, the point of time of which we have still not been able to precisely determine. We well know that this event will happen in the year 1975, but the precise point in time is not yet recognizable. This will be determined through many terrestrial reactions and occurrences, which alone lie in terrestrial politics and in terrestrial religions. We were able to foresee the future possibilities to this extent, but not more, because limits are also set for us in regard to calculable possibilities. For this reason, we also only have time up to autumn of 1974 to banish the danger of the threatening catastrophe on the Earth, and up to the middle of the year 1975 to eradicate the last remnants. But the battle will be very great and difficult because the evil life forms deliver enormous intrigues to us, and they drive Earth humans into religious, sectarian fanaticism. Therefore, many new religious sects will come into being during the course of the next decades and begin to grow like malicious weeds, and also demand many dead. Ufology, already mentioned, which actually is supposed to serve in the spreading of truth, will likewise be pressed in the direction of sectarianism and will gain worldwide significance in this regard. Like the religions themselves, ufology will become a religious means of power for the malicious extraterrestrial intelligences and, however, also a field of activity of deceitful and delusionally sick, alleged contact persons. And in the year 1975 it will first be so far along that the study community, DOIST, which will be widely known up to that time, and which concerns itself with matters regarding extraterrestrial space vehicles and with extraterrestrial life forms, and for the first time in October 1956 will produce a newspaper, can be given the first pointer to their unreal direction. Through this study community, on the European continent in the country you call Germany, various persons will be known up to that time who allegedly have contacts with extraterrestrial life forms. Among these persons then is also the mentioned hot dog vendor, who comes from the California area in America and who, already within an extremely short time, will be considered the most important man in matters of ufology. His fraudulent deeds have already attained great dimensions, and the community in Germany, which presently is only beginning, will thereby be misled to entertain thoughts about making a newspaper. And as I have already said, the first copy of the newspaper-like text will be distributed to those interested in October of the year 1956, and in the course of the next decades will influence many humans of the Earth UFO news. We would like to prevent the issuance of this text, but that is not within the frame of what is possible for us, because through the distribution of this text, a very important task for a later time will be fulfilled. So, unfortunately, we must allow that this monthly newspaper will also be constructed on a basis which is quite especially religious. In and of itself, the publication of this text is very good, but does not convey the truth in this respect, because it operates on an especially religious basis, and, on the other hand, also allows itself to be led astray by charlatans and frauds. Thereby, through the distribution of the text, unfortunately, not only will good services be rendered over the decades, but also bad ones. As I already explained, unfortunately, it will first be possible in the year 1975 to inform the, by then, far-spread study community and the mentioned publication about the truth. After that, it will unfortunately take another very long time before the character of the publication will be altered, and the truth, exactly according to its content, will be announced in it, if at all. The directors of this coming text are unfortunately aligned with an especially strong sectarian form, and so it will be a very hard battle to convince and to instruct them about the effective truth, whereby a result in this regard is, however, not certain. This will be your task if you are called upon to do so. But this time has not arrived yet, because first the events of this world must take their course. I have already explained to you that in the Pyramid of Giza, I recognized your thoughts and discovered your partial doubt. But if you want to fulfill your mission, then you must first still learn very much more. You must recognize and acknowledge the actual truth, and for you that means still very great studies in many things. You must learn to find the truth within yourself and to evaluate it, whereby your future life will be extraordinarily difficult and full of need. Often you will wish not to live, and to linger in the realm of death. However, Consider in these times that you, as a life form, have your obligations to fulfill, and you are not permitted to break off your mission because it is of worldwide significance and importance, and makes waves even far out into space. Yet various things should be provided to you to help you, which impart to you extraordinary knowledge and ability in respect of the creational spiritual matters and their laws and directives through which you may recognize the truth. Our technology allows us very many things, thus even journeys into the future and into the past. These possibilities should now be used for you to impart to you things of great significance from which you may recognize the truth, which will be of extraordinary importance for you. It has been decided to lead you into the past in order to provide to you the possibility of an examination of all things. First, you will travel back into the year 32 in your time reckoning, if it is corrected through your statements at a later time, because your present reckoning of time differs by some years compared to reality. However, this is not very important for Earth humanity, rather only for us if you shortly go into the past with me. The sense behind this first trip is that you can convince yourself of the truth in that place and position, and will be able to recognize the falseness of those things that are still weakly anchored within you as belief. You will therefore attain the proof that which is known to you as the New Testament is exactly as much a malicious falsification as all the other religious books which exist on this world. These were not only maliciously falsified by Earth humans themselves, rather also often with the help of the malicious extraterrestrial life forms who steered many events of this kind from the Pyramid of Giza. You will learn the truth about Emmanuel, who you wrongly call Jesus Christ. You will recognize the truth regarding his prophecies that he pronounced less than 2,000 years ago, because he spoke of metal machines which would move in water and on land and in the air. To you, still very many other things will likewise testify to the truth which you should later submit to the Earth humans. These are the things that I had to explain to you today,